I 32M need to share what happened over the last 3 years with my family, and how I finally put an end to their systematic financial abuse. I work as a software developer at a mid-sized tech company in Seattle, earning $85,000 annually. Nothing extraordinary by tech standards, but enough to live comfortably in most places, except Seattle, as I would soon discover. Everything started to go sideways after my graduation in 2020. With rent in Seattle being absolutely ridiculous, $2,000 plus for a decent one-bedroom, I decided to move back in with my parents. My sister Ashley, 30F, warned me against it, but I brushed off her concerns. She kept saying things like, "They'll take advantage of you," and "You'll regret this," but I thought she was being dramatic. After all, my parents offered what seemed like a fair deal, $800 monthly rent, utilities included. The house rules seemed reasonable at first. Keep common areas clean, quiet hours after 10 p.m., contribute to household chores, standard stuff. What I didn't realize was how these rules would become weapons in their manipulation arsenal. The first red flag appeared when my brother Jack, 27M, was about to start college. My parents sat me down for what they called a family meeting. The living room was unusually tidy, and Mom had made her special lasagna, always a sign she wanted something. They presented it as if it was the most natural thing in the world. Since I was making good money and living at home, I should help with Jack's education. Family helps family, Dad said, conveniently forgetting the $800 monthly rent I was paying them. We're not asking for much, just help with tuition. Looking back, I can't believe how manipulative they were, and how blind I was to their tactics. It started with just tuition, $3,500 per semester. Then came the extras, $300 for textbooks here, $1,200 for a laptop there because his old one was too slow for engineering programs. But that was just the beginning of their systematic financial abuse. Working from home became a living nightmare. While I was trying to focus on critical development projects, Jack would have his friends over, being incredibly loud playing video games or studying, which mostly involved watching YouTube. If I complained, my parents would say, "He needs to de-stress from his studies," or "It's his house too." But if I wanted to have friends over? Suddenly the house needed to be quiet, or was too messy for guests. The financial demands kept escalating in increasingly absurd ways. One rainy day, I saw Jack walking to campus, completely soaked. I felt bad and bought him a 2019 Honda Civic for $19,000 from my savings. Instead of gratitude, he complained it wasn't a BMW like his friends. "This is kind of basic," he said, looking at the brand new car I'd just given him. My parents saw this purchase as proof I had extra money lying around. Soon after, Mom's washing machine mysteriously broke. She didn't want a reasonable replacement, no, she had her eyes set on a fancy Samsung model for $1,200. 2 weeks after I bought it, she started complaining that her friend Helen had the model with Steam function. Then her iPhone 11 suddenly wasn't working properly, another $1,000 for the iPhone 14 Pro because all the other teachers have one. Dad wasn't about to be left out. He needed a new Weber grill, $1,200, that he used exactly twice before complaining it wasn't the exact model he wanted. The old grill had been working perfectly fine, but apparently, he needed to keep up with the neighbors. Meanwhile, I was still driving my 2015 Toyota Corolla, shopping at Target, and getting called at Stingy because I wouldn't join their fancy Hawaii vacation. The real kicker? I was still paying that $800 monthly rent while funding their lifestyle. The manipulation got more sophisticated over time. They somehow always knew when I got a bonus or raise. I later discovered Mom was intercepting my mail, checking my bank statements, and credit card bills. She would casually mention my recent purchases in conversation, trying to make me feel guilty about buying anything for myself. I remember the day I bought a $60 gaming subscription. Mom spent the entire dinner making passive-aggressive comments, "Must be nice to have money to waste on games," and "I guess Jack's education isn't that important to you." Meanwhile, Jack was ordering Uber Eats 3 times a day and buying new clothes every week, all with my money. I started keeping detailed records of everything. Bank statements, receipts, conversations, all meticulously documented in a spreadsheet. Ashley helped me install security cameras in my room after we discovered Mom's mail theft. We set up a cloud backup system for all the evidence, knowing it would come in handy eventually. The gaslighting became more intense as time went on. They started rewriting history, claiming they'd never charged me rent, and that I was living rent-free. When I brought up the $800 monthly payments, they'd say things like, "That's just contributing to utilities," or "real rent would be much higher." They had a way of making me question my own reality. Every family gathering became an opportunity for them to showcase their manipulation. During Thanksgiving, they announced to the entire extended family how generous I was being with Jack's education, conveniently leaving out that it wasn't voluntary. When relatives praised them for raising such a giving son, they'd act humble while simultaneously using it to reinforce their control over me. The psychological warfare extended beyond finances. They'd forget to tell me about family events if I had recently refused one of their financial demands. My room, which I was paying rent for, became a communal storage space whenever they decided they needed the extra room. My privacy was non-existent. They'd enter without knocking, go through my things, and justify it with a "we're family," or "it's our house." The breaking point came after a particularly exhausting 10-hour workday. I had just finished debugging a critical system issue when Jack barged into my room without knocking. He needed money for books, the third time that semester. "No, please, no thank you, just entitlement." What he said next still makes my blood boil. "Why do I always have to ask? Can't you just set up automatic transfers? It's annoying having to ask every time I need money." That night, I couldn't sleep. I opened my banking app and started adding up everything I'd spent on them in 3 years. The total made me physically sick. Jack's tuition, $21,000. Honda Civic, $19,000. Books and supplies, $11,200. Mom's appliances, $2,200. Dad's necessities, $1,200. Random expenses, $15,500. Rent paid, $28,800. Total, over $99,000. When I showed these numbers to Ashley, she wasn't surprised. She'd been watching this train wreck from a distance, trying to warn me. Together, we formulated a plan for revenge that would hit them where it hurt most, their social standing and reputation. The evidence we've gathered is comprehensive and damning. Security cameras captured Mom stealing my mail, which is a federal offense. I have recordings of countless manipulation attempts, detailed financial records showing every transaction, and a string of text messages displaying their endless entitlement. Even our neighbors have witnessed their behavior over the years, and several have offered to corroborate my story. The social destruction I'm about to unleash will be methodical and complete. They think they can treat me like an ATM? They're about to learn that karma doesn't accept payment plans. My next update will detail the first phase of my revenge. The best part? They'll never see it coming. Update 1. It's been 1 month since my last post, and the systematic destruction of my parents' social facade has begun. The first phase of my plan went even better than expected, primarily because my parents never imagined their carefully crafted social image could crumble so quickly. I started by having Ashley help me compile all the evidence into a compelling narrative. We created a digital timeline of their abuse, complete with the security footage of Mom stealing my mail. Instead of going nuclear immediately, we began with a strategic approach to maximize impact. The first domino fell when we shared the evidence with Mrs. Thompson, the most connected member of our parents' church community. We chose her specifically because she's known for her strong stance against dishonesty and financial exploitation. As expected, she was horrified by the proof of my mother stealing mail and their systematic manipulation. Within days, whispers began circulating through their social circles. Mom's weekly church group suddenly had scheduling conflicts. Dad's golf buddies started finding excuses not to play with him. The subtle social exclusion began eating away at their carefully constructed reputation. The real damage started when we shared the evidence with Mom's school administration. The footage of her committing mail theft, combined with documentation of her financial manipulation, raised serious concerns about her fitness as an educator. The school board launched an internal investigation into her conduct. Dad's workplace wasn't spared either. While we never directly contacted his employers, the evidence we shared with their close friends inevitably made its way to his colleagues. His position in sales relies heavily on trust and integrity, both of which are now seriously questioned by his peers and clients. Their reaction to the unfolding social consequences has been fascinating to watch. Mom initially tried to maintain her image by increasing her social media presence, posting about family values, and supporting children's education. Each post became increasingly desperate as engagement dropped and former friends began distancing themselves. Dad attempted damage control by spreading a counter-narrative about me being an ungrateful son, but his story fell apart when Ashley shared the bank records showing my rent payments and contributions to the family. The exact amounts shocked their social circle, especially when compared to their constant complaints about my stinginess. Jack's world is starting to crumble too. His friends' parents have learned about the situation, and suddenly those weekend gatherings at our house have stopped. His girlfriend's family, who used to invite him over for dinner regularly, now view him differently. He's learning that social status built on borrowed money isn't sustainable. The most satisfying development came when Mom's friend Helen, yes, the one with the steam function washing machine, confronted her about the lies she'd been telling. Helen had been led to believe I was living rent-free and barely contributing to the family. When she learned about the $99,000 and my monthly rent payments, she was disgusted. She shared the truth with their entire social circle. Our neighbor, Mrs. Rodriguez, who's lived next door for 20 years, came to me privately. She revealed she'd witnessed Mom stealing my mail multiple times but hadn't known how to approach the subject. She's now become an unexpected ally, sharing her observations with others in the neighborhood and confirming my story. The financial impact is already visible. Dad's client base is shrinking as word spreads about his character. Mom's private tutoring students have started canceling. They're beginning to experience what it's like to have their financial stability threatened, something they never considered while draining my savings. Jack has been forced to get a part-time job at a local cafe. Watching him learn the value of money firsthand is ironic. He still doesn't fully grasp that his free ride is over, but reality is slowly sinking in. Yesterday, I overheard him complaining about having to pay for his own car insurance for the first time. For those wondering about legal repercussions, especially regarding the mail theft, yes, I've documented everything. That card is still in my hand, ready to be played if necessary. But watching their social world implode is proving to be much more satisfying than legal action would be. Ashley has been my rock through all of this. She's helping me maintain detailed records of their reactions and attempts at damage control. We're preparing for phase 2 of our plan, which will ensure their social and financial downfall is permanent. The best part? I haven't had to lie or exaggerate anything. The truth, presented with evidence, is doing all the work. Their own actions are causing their downfall, I'm just making sure everyone sees who they really are. My next update will detail phase 2 of our plan and its implementation. The destruction of their social standing is just the beginning. They're about to learn that treating your child like an ATM has consequences that no amount of manipulation can fix. Update 2: 3 months have passed since my last update, and the devastation to my parents' lives has exceeded all expectations. Their carefully constructed social facade has completely crumbled, revealing the manipulative people they truly are. The most significant development came from an unexpected source: their tax records. While organizing my documents, I discovered they had been claiming me as a dependent all these years, despite my paying rent and essentially supporting the household. When this information reached their employers through anonymous channels, everything changed. Mom has been placed on administrative leave from her teaching position. The school board's investigation expanded beyond her mail theft to include questions about her ethical fitness as an educator. Her colleagues, who once praised her dedication to teaching, now avoid eye contact in the grocery store. The whispers about her using her own son as an ATM while teaching students about ethics and character have effectively ended her career. Dad's situation is equally satisfying. His sales numbers have plummeted as clients request different representatives. Nobody wants to do business with someone known for exploiting their own child. His recent demotion to inside sales feels like poetic justice. Now he's the one worried about making enough money to maintain appearances. The financial impact has forced them to start selling their precious status symbols. The Weber grill disappeared from the backyard, and Mom's designer handbags have been quietly listed on various resale sites. The steam function washing machine that was so important to match Helen's? Listed for sale at half price, with no takers. Jack's transformation has been particularly dramatic. His part-time cafe job quickly became full-time when he realized his tuition wouldn't pay itself. The entitled attitude has been replaced by exhaustion as he juggles work and studies. Last week, he had to sell the Honda Civic I bought him to cover his expenses. The irony of him now taking the bus to campus isn't lost on anyone. The neighborhood dynamic has shifted completely. Parents who used to praise my family's success now use them as a cautionary tale. Our next-door neighbor's daughter, who recently graduated college, was told, "Don't end up like the my last name family, living beyond their means by exploiting their own son." Their attempts at damage control have become increasingly desperate. Mom tried organizing a neighborhood barbecue to clear the air, not a single person showed up. Dad's effort to join a new golf club was met with a polite but firm rejection. Their social isolation is complete. The community fallout has been fascinating to watch. The local church, where Mom was once a respected member, quietly removed her from all committee positions. The women's group she led for years now meets without her. Dad's been asked to step down from the neighborhood watch program he helped start. Their financial desperation is becoming more evident daily. They've started selling furniture, claiming they're downsizing for simplicity. The reality? They can't afford their lifestyle without my support. The luxury SUV has been replaced by a used compact car. Their weekly dinner parties have become microwave meals. Jack's entitlement has finally cracked under pressure. Yesterday, he approached me for the first time since this began. Instead of demands, he actually asked, politely, if we could talk. The conversation was brief but revealing. "I never realized how much you were doing for us," he admitted, looking genuinely ashamed. "I thought money just appeared when you needed it." The most satisfying aspect isn't the material downsizing, it's watching them realize that money can't buy back respect once it's lost. Their friends haven't just abandoned them, they're actively sharing the story with others. Each new person who learns the truth becomes another crack in their facade. Ashley's prediction was right, the truth was all we needed. We never had to embellish or exaggerate. The simple facts, presented with evidence, did more damage than any revenge scheme could have. The security camera footage of Mom stealing mail continues to circulate in their social circles, a constant reminder of their true nature. Their church friends were particularly shocked by the detailed financial records showing how they charged me rent while simultaneously draining my savings. The contradiction between their public preaching about family values and their private exploitation of their own son has destroyed their credibility completely. The final blow came when they were quietly asked to resign from the country club they'd belonged to for 15 years. The committee cited behavioral concerns incompatible with club values. Dad's golfing trophies, which he used to polish weekly, now gather dust in the garage. Looking ahead to my final update, I'll share how this experience has transformed my life. For now, I'm watching them learn the hardest lesson of all: reputation, once lost, is nearly impossible to regain. Their social and financial downfall is a reminder that karma, while patient, never forgets. Their world has contracted to the size of their newly humble existence, and I've never felt more free. Next update will detail my new life and the final resolution of this family saga. Update 3, it's been 6 months since my last update, and the transformation in my life has been remarkable. First, I want to thank this incredible Reddit community. Your support, advice, and shared experiences helped me maintain my resolve through this entire process. The number of DMs sharing similar stories made me realize how common financial abuse within families really is. My new life in Denver has exceeded all expectations. After my story went viral in our hometown, several tech companies reached out with job offers. I accepted a senior developer position that came with a 40% salary increase and, more importantly, the opportunity for a fresh start in a new city. The most unexpected development has been my relationship with Jack. 3 months ago, he showed up at my new apartment unannounced. He looked different, humbled, tired from working 2 jobs while studying. We had a 4-hour conversation that changed everything. He admitted to seeing a therapist to understand his role in the family dynamics and how his entitlement affected others. The most surprising part? He's actually doing better in his studies now. When it's your own money on the line, he explained, you make sure every class counts. He's even started a small study group for other engineering students who work full-time, helping them balance work and academics. Our parents' downfall continued in ways I hadn't anticipated. They were forced to sell their house, the one they'd used to manipulate and control me, and move to a modest apartment in a different state. Mom's attempt to secure a teaching position at another school failed when her references were checked. Dad's working at a local hardware store now, a far cry from his prestigious sales career. The family dynamics have shifted dramatically. Ashley has become even closer, if that's possible. She finished her PhD and landed a research position at a prestigious university. We have weekly video calls where we don't discuss our parents at all. Instead, we talk about our achievements, our dreams, and our future plans. One unexpected outcome of this experience has been my personal growth. The therapy sessions I started during the revenge planning phase have evolved into a journey of self-discovery. My therapist helped me understand how deeply the financial abuse had affected my self-worth and decision-making. I've learned to set boundaries, recognize manipulation tactics, and most importantly, value myself. The Reddit community suggested I channel my experience into helping others, so I started a support group for victims of family financial abuse. We meet virtually every week, sharing stories and strategies for recovery. It's incredible how many people have similar experiences but feel ashamed to talk about them. My professional life has flourished in unexpected ways. Without the constant drain on my finances, I've been able to invest in myself. I completed several advanced certifications, started contributing to open-source projects, and even began mentoring junior developers. My new company values my insights, and I recently led the development of a major project, something I never had the mental energy for when dealing with my family's constant demands. The most significant change has been in my personal relationships. I'm dating someone who respects boundaries and understands the importance of financial independence. She comes from a similar background, having dealt with financially manipulative siblings, and we connect on a deep level about our experiences and growth. My new apartment, while modest by some standards, feels like a palace of peace. Every piece of furniture I've bought, every decoration I've chosen, represents my freedom to make decisions without guilt or manipulation. The simple act of buying a $60 gaming subscription without anxiety feels like a victory. The ripple effects of my story have been fascinating. Several of my parents' former friends reached out privately to share similar experiences with their own children. It seems my parents' behavior had influenced others in their social circle to make similar demands on their kids. My stand against financial abuse has sparked a wider conversation in our community about family boundaries and financial responsibility. Last week, I received an unexpected letter from my old neighbor, Mrs. Rodriguez. She wrote about how my story inspired her to help her own daughter escape a financially abusive marriage. Your courage, she wrote, showed us that standing up to family abuse isn't betrayal, it's self-preservation. To the Reddit community that supported me through this journey, your advice was invaluable. The suggestion to document everything saved me countless times. The user who recommended setting up security cameras, you were right about everything. The person who told me, sometimes the best revenge is living well, those words became my mantra. The financial impact of my freedom has been staggering. In just 6 months without supporting my family, I've saved enough for a down payment on a condo. My investment portfolio is growing, and I'm finally building the emergency fund I always wanted. It's amazing how much you can save when you're not supporting 3 additional adults. Jack's transformation continues to surprise me. He recently sent me his first student loan payment receipt, not asking for help, just proud to be handling it himself. He's planning to transfer to a state school to reduce costs and has started a small computer repair business on weekends. The entitled kid who demanded automatic transfers is gone, replaced by someone I'm actually proud to call my brother. Ashley visits every few months, and each time she confirms I made the right decision. You look years younger, she said during her last visit. The weight of their expectations is gone from your shoulders. She's right. Even my coworkers have commented on how much more relaxed and confident I've become. My parents attempted one last manipulation recently, a letter filled with faux apologies and subtle hints about their financial struggles. I recognized the familiar patterns, the guilt tripping, the casual mentions of hardship, the reminder of family obligations. 5 years ago, this would have worked. Now, I simply filed it with my documentation and moved on with my day. To those still trapped in similar situations, there is hope. You're not responsible for supporting financially abusive family members. The guilt you feel was programmed into you. It can be unlearned. The fear of being labeled ungrateful or selfish is part of their control mechanism. Breaking free is possible. This experience has taught me that sometimes the most loving thing you can do for family is to stop enabling their toxic behavior. Real family supports each other's growth, not their destruction. Real family celebrates your success instead of seeing it as an opportunity for exploitation. To the Reddit user who told me, "You don't set yourself on fire to keep others warm, your words changed my life." To the community that supported me through my darkest moments, you showed me what real support looks like. Your collective wisdom and encouragement helped me find the strength to break free. Today, I'm debt-free, building savings, and most importantly, at peace. My home is truly mine, a sanctuary where no one can demand my resources or violate my boundaries. I've learned that respect isn't bought with money or maintained through sacrifice. It's earned through honesty, integrity, and mutual respect. Final thoughts for those in similar situations: document everything, trust your instincts, and remember that you deserve financial peace. Family ties don't justify financial abuse. Freedom is possible, and it's worth every difficult step. Thank you, Reddit, for being the family I needed when my own failed me. Your support made this journey possible.